I live off of 10 to 20% of my income, and I take care of a family of 5. I take care of myself, my 2 sisters, and my parents. We all live in Colombia, and right now I'm traveling to Mexico after I have just gotten back from Panama. So I went from Panama to Colombia, Colombia to Mexico. And how am I able to do this? Is because I take care and I take advantage and I do something called geographic arbitrage. So I take advantage of geo arbitrage. It's what it's called, and it's how I call it. Now, what really is this? Now, before I get into explain that, I just want to tell you a quick story. I remember around just 5 years ago, actually, I believe, me and my parents, we used to, and I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, and I was embarrassed at the time, but I was actually in high school now that I remember. We used to go and we used to clean hotels from 9 p.m., 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. And I would always be falling asleep in class, and my teachers would be saying something to me, David, get up, what's going on, picking on me, this, that, the other. I never really told them. I'd never really told anyone I was working there. And I remember this pretty girl used to work at the restaurant connected right by the hotel, and she would always walk by. And I knew the girl from a friend of a friend. And once I found out who it was, every time she'd walk by, I just kind of hide myself while I vacuumed the carpets. And one of those days I remember, it was a cold, dark night in Canada, very, very cold. And my father, he was on the other side of the hotel on the outside, and I was vacuuming the carpets from within. And I remember looking at his face while he was wiping down the windows. And I remember I just literally broke down into fucking tears. I literally just broke down, and I said, I promise you, I'm gonna get to a point in my life where I'm never, ever gonna let this fucking happen again. I will find a way. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do it, but it's gonna happen. They will never have to go through something like this again, either for my parents or my siblings. And I said, I'm gonna find a way. I had no clue at the time. I had no clue how. I was just vacuuming the fucking floors. That's all I knew what to do. And fast forward a couple years later, it came true. And it's not that you don't have to be a millionaire. I'm not making fucking millions, right? I just took advantage of something called geo arbitrage, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. Now, what is that? That is the practice of making your income, making money in a strong currency and making a lot more than the locals, and then living in places where your expenses are a lot lower. So usually that would be, say for example, be making a US income, so working with an American company, getting paid in USD, and then you can go somewhere like Colombia or Mexico or a Latin American country, or just any country where your dollar would go a lot further and where you can take advantage of it. So that's what we did. We ended up going, now this all happened by mistake, it wasn't on purpose, but we ended up moving to Colombia. And I hated the decision. I hated it at first. I felt like such a fucking loser. I had no clue what I was going to do with my life. But then I stumbled onto geo arbitrage, when I stumbled into something called sales contracts on Upwork, where you can stack multiple of them. I only work one contract. You can work multiple if you want and make a lot more money. And then you can take care of your family as well. If I can take care of my family, what makes you think you can't take care of yourself and live an amazing, lifestyle, live an amazing life over here, right? So that's the art of taking advantage. So you want to make high income, you work with multiple contracts on Upwork. And what I would always recommend, how to do it, you want to land a remote job, I recommend sales on Upwork. So you want to go to upwork.com, you want to create a profile, and you want to start applying to jobs where you have to work as a sales development representative, anything that has to do with sales, really. Now, why sales? Because it's a job that you don't need experience, you don't need a degree, definitely not a degree, but it's one of those skills where you can actually learn on the job, and they'll train you if the company is good, and you can learn as you go. You don't have to know it. I know a lot of people tell you it takes 6 months to a year to learn a fucking skill, and then you go apply it. That takes way too fucking long. You want to do this quick, and you want to do this now. So what I recommend is you apply to these jobs, you learn how to interview for them, and I teach all of this in my program down below, in my coaching program. You can check out the first link in the description on what to say when they ask you the questions, even if you have no experience, what to say, how to apply for these jobs. I've landed multiple contracts before, so I know how to structure my cover letter. I give you literally plug and play, what to say on the cover letter, what to say on the interviews, the right answers to the questions that they give you. I know a lot of people fuck up on that. So that's all you need to learn, and then you can land them super, super quickly. And then from there, like literally after landing the job, now it's just a matter of time where you can just check countries that you want to travel to. Maybe you can't travel, or maybe you just want to make some extra income online. I would always recommend this approach, because once you start applying to the jobs, once you start landing these jobs, start doing a good job for these contracts, they leave reviews, you build up your profile, and then from there, people actually invite you to their jobs. So right now, say for example, you're applying on Indeed, you're applying on LinkedIn, nobody's ever gonna reach out to you. Barely, they're ever gonna reach out to you, right? Like to an actual interview that's qualified and it's paying well, right? Rarely does that ever happen. Have they reached out to you today? Probably not. When you have an upward profile built out, you can be chilling and just getting invites to jobs. So that's the number one route. And then once you start making around 2, 3 to even 4 grand a month, that you can go to a country where you are making around 10 times more, literally like 8 to 10 times more than the locals. And you're just taking advantage of that. The same way these companies are taking advantage of you, not the sales contracts ones, the same companies that you're working for right now in North America, how they're fucking raping you and taking advantage of you, you can take advantage of geo arbitrage. Geo arbitrage. So you can take advantage of geo arbitrage. Make income in USD, you can spend in pesos, or just spend in the currency where your money is gonna go a lot further. That's what I did. Not on purpose, it just happened to fall into my lap, and that's how things ended up falling down. You know, how the dominoes ended up falling down, and how things panned out. And so that's how I'm taking care of literally a family of 5. No, this is not bullshit. And it's around 20% of my income. Then I save the rest, and then I use it to travel, how I'm doing so right now. Right now I'm in Mexico for a wedding, and I'm enjoying myself there, right? Without stressing about bills, I can pay for things without having to check the price. And it's an amazing feeling, man. It's an amazing feeling truly to be able to take care of the ones you loved, to not have to stress about bills or emergencies, because those always come up. It's a really, really good feeling. And I'm just showing others, showing you how I did it, so you can do it as well. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to, I literally, like, you do not need to be an expert whatsoever. You don't need to have experience. You don't need to have a degree. As I said before, all you need is balls, the willingness to take action, move quickly. The world is your oyster, man. You can make this work. You can make this work for yourself, for your family. If you want to pick up with your family, leave to another country, that's on you now. But my life just panned out that way. And that's the way it ended up panning out. If it pans out the same way for you, I would love for you to also be able to have that feeling of not being drowned with bills, with mortgage, with your apartment rent, with the groceries that you have to buy, and how you're gonna make ends meet, right? So I went from a very, very shitty situation to now not living lavishly, but living comfortably, living very grateful. So I wish the same thing for every single one of you. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take action. This is how I take advantage of it, and that's how you can as well. See you in the next one.